Greetings, parents and guardians. Welcome to What is School? This is Mr. Cortez speaking to you. My pronouns are he, him, his. This is for the Integrated Math 1 class. I'm so glad you're going to be joining us today. If you have any questions, my email will be seen throughout, so please feel free to shoot me an email if there's something that you're not too sure about. Quick introduction to me. Again, still Mr. Cortez. I've been teaching mathematics courses for the past 5 years in Springfield and in Drexel Hill. I call that my little tour de Delco. Over the summer, one highlight was that I biked 65 miles for charity. We had to reroute our route because of the pandemic and whatnot, but we still got our 65 miles in. So we were pretty proud about that. And that was the third time that we've done it. So pretty proud to keep that tradition going. During virtual school with your learner, with your student at home, this is going to be a set of standards that Lower Merion has put in place where we expect all of our students in my class and in other classes to, of course, be on time for classes. In my case, I use Zoom, and that link is always on Blackboard. I always ask that my students have their camera on, just so I know that they're there, and if I need to touch base, I know that they're ready to chat. I ask that they have their audio muted unless they're speaking. I have suggested that some students move around the house if need be to make sure that they're in an environment that's going to work the best for them trying to learn. Of course, working away from distractions, putting their phone in another room, working away from a TV, those are all great suggestions that I've put in place. Dress hasn't been an issue, nobody's been recording. And of course, I've mentioned that bullying's one thing where if it's in the Zoom chat, I've reorganized that so that I'm the only person that can receive messages. But if for some reason bullying's going on and I can't quite see it, students are encouraged to reach out to me and we'll squash it. Sounds good, right? Some more virtual meeting expectations. What's different about this class is that, one, we're virtual, of course, but as time goes on, to make the most of our class time together, I'll be working in what's called a flipped classroom design. So previously, in a traditional classroom, the teacher's usually instructing homeworks at home, but the reason that I've switched to this flipped classroom design over here is because this allows students to have more time in class to work on material under my supervision. They don't go home and get to the tough problems and then they're stuck. This really allows us to make the most of our time with a variety of breakout groups, students working cooperatively, or students working independently. So that's a small glimpse as to how this class will run for integrated math. Some tips for success that I've put in place are seen here. If you want to pause the video and read through these, you can. Some other additional things that make the most of our time in class is that students can ask questions if they're stuck on anything. They can work independently, again, sometimes cooperatively, and if done right, depending on how things work, students should have a ton of time to knock out work in class under my supervision, which I think is a real treat because they don't have to go home and then bother their parents or guardians to try and relearn Algebra 1 or geometry, whatever it might be. So that's why I've kind of stuck to this form of instruction. Some of the tools that we'll use in Integrated Math 1 are as follows. We'll be using Desmos, which is a helpful tool for graphing and getting feedback from students. What I like the most about Desmos is that we have activities that I'll be assigning as we move through and start select sections. So similar to a slideshow, we'll have a beginning point. We'll then have opportunities for students to dive right in and see what they think of the material. And I always think of this as a low ceiling entry point where if you wanted to just count these dots, you could. You don't need to know a ton of math for that. But that eventually snowballs into picking it up further, filling in a table, graphing out what we look at, and also getting a lot of feedback from students immediately, which is helpful because I get to see everything that students are saying, as you can see here. And so that's just one of the tools that we'll use throughout the year. Again, Desmos is a graphing tool. Think of it as a lab that we have at the beginning of sections to put some ideas in place and have a visual representation of the material, no matter where we are learning. Edpuzzle is another tool that I'll be using. This is to hold students accountable for watching videos that I create. I'm lucky enough to have a good variety of videos that I make daily, sometimes bi-daily, every 2 days or so. So Edpuzzle is a helpful tool that helps me as a teacher make sure that students are watching the videos that they need to watch. Quick sample of that is here. This was for one of the videos I posted. That was an introduction to a Ready, Set, Go, which is pretty much a practice problem set. And just based off of assigning this video, I know which students watched all of the video, which students did it on time, which students were falling short a little bit. And this is helpful because I have questions along the way that students are asked. So that's helpful for me to just see what students are thinking when they watch a video. These are some successful video tips for a flipped classroom. So of course, working away from distractions, that's one thing we mentioned. I'll give you a moment to pause the video if you want to screenshot this or take some notes. And that's going to wrap it up. With Integrated Math 1, that's going to encompass a lot of algebra skills and some skills that aren't normally seen in an algebra course. I think that this class is interesting because it pushes students to think about the material right off the bat with me to guide them along the way. I hope that this video was helpful. I'll leave my email here at the bottom. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you for watching and have a great day.